You know, H.P. Lovecraft's been dead for nearly 100 years, but it hasn't stopped indie developers from wanking off his corpse till his knob rots off. And games have been around for much longer than old H.P., ever since the first game of Tetris was played at the Black Hole of Calcutta. But to be fair, the guy getting ripped off probably isn't a bad thing. Lovecraft was a bit of a dick anyway. And let's be honest, the source material comes from a number of okay-ish books that were pretentious as fuck even for the time, and 90% of the material has been made by other people. The stories were just iconic enough for a bunch of other people to make way better shit. I mean, look at this. Admittedly, the guy doesn't seem too bothered that Cthulhu is literally arising right in front of him, but he's in shallow water anyway. Cthulhu's still a sea creature, so give it half an hour and there's going to be a beached old one gasping for air on the banks of Hartlepool, and I don't think Greenpeace is going to come and save this one. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near Hartlepool either. But I'm supposed to be talking about Eldritch, this roguelike that for some reason reminds me of 30 Flights of Loving, if its characters have been fed through a trouser press. It's kind of cute in a way, which makes me feel bad for killing these fishmen for once. I'm supposed to be horrified, but these dumb fucks are so happy to slash your face off that it'd be rude if I didn't let them. I mean, they can't actually process what they're doing, surely. I'd imagine to them I'm just an oversized fish finger with arms and a dick. There's a lot to be said for this game if I'm honest. Sure, it's about as pretty as an inflamed stoma, and the feedback is about as kinetic as a dildo with dying batteries, but personally I don't mind the visuals. I guarantee this blocky facade will hold up far better than any number of AAA cash splurges ever will. Remember when everyone jizzed over Crisis? They thought it was the tits with fries, but now it just looks like the tits with fries relative to 2007. Anyway, in Eldritch you find yourself trapped in a library full of supernatural portal books that take you to Lovecraftian realms, which I suspect you could get the same effect from by just dropping a load of acid and going out in front of a pop-up book. The problem is that these fucking library books can kill you, and if that happens you have to do it all over again, which makes me think that Arthur just fucking lied to me. You can equip your right hand with weapons and the left with spells, but the usefulness of both varies wildly. Like for example, the pistol is fine, but immediately made redundant by the flintlock. The knife is actually better than the axe, despite the axe doing more damage, and the rock can be used like the bottle, except it doesn't only have one use. I guess this is meant to balance out so every item has a less useful counterpart, a bit like your younger brother, but the item placement isn't on much of a gradient from good to bad loot, so you find the equipment to take you to the end of the game in the first room. It's like someone loaded a t-shirt cannon with shit they found at an NRA rally, and the spells are basically useless besides teleport, which you basically need to get the orb in Nyarlathotep because of all the fucking lizard statues. The worlds are pretty varied though. You have a choice between Dark Blue, Sand, and Mansfield, by which I mean it's full of elder beings that haven't seen the sun since the beginning of time. Nyarlathotep is basically the same, except everyone has sand in their arse. I suppose I could talk about the AI, but there pretty much isn't any. I suspect that being locked in the same labyrinth for eons has led to some serious inbreeding that's left half the fishmen and cultists with just enough brain power to move towards you in a straight line and flail their arms. The main objective is just to grab these orbs to break the magical seal on the library door and escape, since you don't remember how you got here. I thought something was up. No one's ever gone into a library out of their own free will in this day and age, unless it's to use the bathroom. Getting the first orb is fine, since Dagon is basically the Poundland version of Roulier, but once you hit Nyarlathotep and these Sands Fortress rejects start throwing fireballs, it's all downhill from there. That being said though, this might be a roguelike, but the first playthrough really isn't hard once you get the hang of it. The New Game Plus mode fixes that by having less items, but even then, one good item run can mean certain victories, since I don't think the enemy difficulty scales at all. Except for these fucking elite enemies you can't kill. These are the chads of the mobs, and they have no fucking respect for your time. At least the Shoggoths don't. The mummies are actually more of a mild inconvenience, like getting the wrong type of cheddar. Do you get it? Once you grab the orb and pass through the door, you realise, oh fuck, maybe I shouldn't have released all these Lovecraftian horrors into the surrounding countryside, and you have to scramble up an endless library to reverse your own fuck up. To be honest, the library level is just a mashup of all the other levels mobs, except you go up instead of downwards. It's not particularly exciting, and the topography of the level makes you wonder what tapped as fuck builder decided that these were normal regulation standards for a fucking library. I can hardly see Mavis hobbling in for a Thursday afternoon book meet and having to climb across beams suspended 30 metres above the ground. But I guess some people just really want to talk about the new Ian Rankin book. Like it isn't boring as fuck. Once you reach the top, you're rewarded with a text wall that says you trapped them and yourself back in the library, but a few escaped and caused some mild damage before being stopped. Which considering that this is the bad ending, doesn't seem too bad. I mean, yeah, you're trapped in a library for eternity, but at least you have a lifetime of Danielle Steele novels to spank off to. There is a good ending where you light 3 candles beforehand, and all that changes is that there's mild damage to the outside. But I couldn't find them, and really, by the sounds of it, it doesn't sound worth it. Oh, but wait, there's a great ending where you replace yourself with a warding spirit instead. Makes me wonder why they didn't do that in the first place. What do you have to do for that one? Yeah, fuck that. My time is precious after all. Guess I'll move on to the DLC then. The Asylum is basically the same enemies, except everything looks like Silent Hill, and there's a spelunky ghost in the form of Azathoth that chases you around while you grab the orbs. What do you do with the orbs? Put them in the Soul Grinder, of course. Really, it's just a leaderboard-based side game where you race to see how many orbs you can get before reaching the end, or before Azathoth gets angry because you left the door open and there's a bit of a draft. There's also the Mountains of Madness, which is more like a full campaign, but I don't know what happens because I saw these massive fuck-off penguins and got scared, so I left. You're better off playing the Secret Pumpkin level where it's pitch black and there's knives everywhere, like it's the power cut of the Forged in Fire final. All in all, I'd say give Eldritch a go, especially since it's got a tremendous amount of replay value for such a concise experience. Plus the developers gave away 2 expansions for free, which is pretty rare in an industry that resembles a slot machine.
Where the fuck is that? Get my guy if you green cunt.